tornado.
Hey, everybody. This is Dominic D'Angelo of SEScoops.com, and it is episode number 24 of One of a Kind with RVD. And I am here with Mr. One of a Kind, RVD. Rob, welcome back to the show yet again.
Yes, sir. Happy to be me. Dude, that looks like it's a luchador, right? It looks like a Wu-Tang.
It is Wu-Tang.
It is Wu-Tang. Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought it was Wu-Tang, and then the more I could only see the top half, I was like, no, that's a wrestling mask.
No, it's Wu-Tang. It does look like a wrestling mask, though.
Thank you. You could see where one would be mistaken.
I can definitely see that immediately,
Wu-Tang.
actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, coincidentally, Katie was just in a possible Wu-Tang video last week.
No shit.
Yeah, I don't know. The guy says it's part of Wu-Tang, but I don't know. There's a dude I follow on Instagram, Eddie G or Eddie O, or I don't know. Someone hit me up and said, do I know any girls there in Vegas trying to finish this video or whatever? And I just said, passed it on to Katie, and she went and did it, and it was cool. But I don't know really what it has to do with Wu-Tang. I'm a little confused about that.
They've got like branches. Wu-Tang does. It's like,
oh, they do.
Yeah, they kind of like. There's so many like sub, I think, genres of them almost. If I'm not mistaken, but okay. I know a lot of the original Wu-Tang guys. I think like RZA and Jizza were both wrestling fans, and they made a lot of references in their songs. Like Ken Patera, they mentioned. I think. Maybe Dusty Rhodes in one of them or something like that. So yeah, they were big wrestling fans too. So that's kind of cool. I always dig Wu-Tang.
His name is OGLZ. At least that's his Instagram.
Okay.
And he says a new music video for my single Kings and Queens coming soon. I got a scene to film with Wu-Tang Clan's member Capadonna. Well, maybe it's just with the member. I don't know. All my Wu-Tang fans go drop the. I don't know. It seems like he's from Wu-Tang. Maybe Katie understands it. Anyway, it's a bit of a synchronicity, even though I don't really, I don't know if he's like in with them or whatever. But one time, he's telling all the Wu-Tang, this is his. Go drop the flames on my post if you're ready for this new Wu-Tang Clan video. Featuring myself and Capadonna. Okay, there you go.
All right.
Katie's in it. I had a audio message for the longest time on my phone. Well, years ago, different phone for sure, but probably an iPhone 6 or something. I don't know. It was a long time ago, but it was a cool message. Yo, RVD, Rob Van Dam, Mr. Pay-Per-View, Mr. Whole Effing Show. Yo, what up, bro? This is Method Man. And he was like he was a big fan, and Method and Red had that sitcom that they were doing.
Yeah. And
so the stuntman that worked on that show was the WWE stuntman, Wally Crowder. And so he was the middleman, and I guess somehow was talking about me or whatever. And so Meth left that message. And then I went out, visited them on set while they were, filming and stuff. So that was my Wu-Tang experience.
That's fucking fly. My buddy went and saw Jizza a couple months ago. He came to Pittsburgh and like was just did a song or did a set and all that stuff. And so that's pretty fucking sweet. Yeah, I'll have to ask him about that Capadonna, see if he knows who he is, maybe by chance. That's pretty awesome, though. So WWE stuntman, how does that work? Like, when do they utilize a stuntman?
Like, whenever, like, let's say, like, they're going to have a car run over somebody or run into a semi-truck and explode, or someone's going to take a crazy bump from the top of the building and through tables and then have a bunch of padding all set up. Things like that, like sometimes someone might get set on fire, anything like that.
Are they typically always, is there always like a stuntman on
No,
hand?
No, special. It would be special to see Wally. And his assistant was there a lot more than he was. Like I'm blanking on dude's name right now. that helped us a lot more than Wally. It wasn't like every day, but it wasn't rare either. Like at least seems like at least a couple times a month they'd be there on set.
Yeah. Okay. Huh. That's interesting. I never really considered a stuntman being there and shit. That's
Can't
interesting.
remember a dude's name right now. I feel bad, but hey, at least I remember his face.
Do you think you could have lived the
I
stuntman
knew
life?
his face.
Yeah. Hmm. Could you have lived the stuntman life, Rob?
Maybe. I was definitely interested in that and enjoyed exploring that as an option at one point in my life, and went to the action movie making weekend seminar where a big part of that was learning how to do stunts. And there was a lot involved with that. There was acting, there was cold reading, there was weapons, but stunts was a big part of it, and I always thought that was cool. But I also did learn as I got into the industry that it's one of the more thankless jobs as far as when it comes to the public. Like behind the camera, they love you. The stunt guy, like the actors, and they have their own rewards show and all that, which Wally Crowder was part of. He listed the stuntman directory. It was like a phone book for all the stunt men and women to get work from, and that was what Wally was, one of the things he was famous for. But it's something where the people in their mind, they're still going to think that it was Tom Cruise that jumped off the top of the building and went right through the window of the other building next door and rolled and and then and kicked the dude's ass and saved the girl. So it's in that respect, it might be kind of fun, but it's the star that gets all the credit, all the money, all the love, and all the thanks in the bigger picture.
Yeah, yeah. It's you see on some of the movies how bad some of the when you see, if you like slow down the move, you can see, okay, that's definitely a stuntman or whatever. And sometimes it's like,
yeah. When I did my first couple, because it's usually a budget thing, when I did Blood Moon, you can see an Asian dude with a wig and a ponytail, like it's pretty funny. But I did, but I always thought it was cool to do my own stunts. The more leverage I had, I always thought that was really cool that Jackie Chan did that, and Eddie's amazing. You know what I mean? So that I was inspired by that.
yeah.
But when I did Wrong Side of Town, I did everything myself except there was one scene, and it wasn't my call. I wanted to do it, but they were already doing it while I was filming something else. And sometimes that's the case. You have different locations where you're being productive, filming something where it doesn't need to be me. They don't see my face. But it was my stunt guy was riding a motorcycle on the docks, by the water and shit. So it had a little bit of level of danger to it, and I still wanted to do it. I wanted to brag and say I did all my own stunts.
Yeah. Hey, it's pretty good to just say you did most of your stunts though too.
Yeah.
Right. I know Burt Reynolds. I think he started as a stuntman too. I don't know how many stunts he did in his movie career when it started, but
yeah, I don't know. It's but it's fun though. Like that's part of the thrill. Taking a fall on an airbag and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, how good have feedback been since your last AEW appearance? Since we last met a week ago, did you get some more good feedback and anything?
Yeah. It was fucking. It was a success. It was good. Everyone loved it. It was awesome to be in Philadelphia, and I mean, that's that's about it. Just what you would expect, as far as like fans. I mean, pretty much we shut most of the naysayers up on the very first night.
Yeah.
There was a few of them that still wanted to believe what they wanted to believe, and then they even shut up after the second match. Now it's been 3 matches, and people are, for the most part, I think, fine with realizing, it's RVD wrestling like RVD. But People still see whatever they want to see, and that's always the case. They can look at one picture of me from 2023 and one picture of me from 2003, and then they'll tell you the difference. You know what I mean? Well, his legs were a little bit more ripped in here. It's like, dude, it's one picture where I might not even be flexing the same way, or lights are different or whatever. And I'm just using that as an example. I'm just saying, that's how basic thinkers are.
Yeah. It is true, though. It's like people just take one picture and then they make their immediate assessment on that. It goes back to all the judgment stuff we were talking about.
Yeah, and it's hard, I mean, sometimes we're all guilty, I think, of doing that without realizing that's not a very big test. There's not very many subjects taking the test. You're testing like 1 out of 1. Coming up with a conclusion, I think he jumped higher, before than he does now. It's a different ring. But maybe you're right, maybe whatever. But I'm just saying it's not a very expanded or a very big test.
Yes,
that way.
Not very conducive to do.
Not very extensive. That's
yes.
The word.
Mm-hmm. So other news that just happened for you. Apparently, you will be facing Matt Riddle. Come, let's see, March 9th.
March 9th, yes.
Yeah, 2024 at the OU Shoemaker Center in, oh my God, how do you say that city?
Chillicothe.
Chillicothe, you got it. Yeah, Chillicothe, Ohio. It's Big Time Wrestling, the Reunion 3. Bobby Fulton, of all people, announced it or revealed it on social media, apparently.
Yeah, that's his show. Bobby Fulton runs Chillicothe. That's his town.
No shit.
Yeah, he does really well there, runs regularly, has a good showing, and books a lot of stars there. Last time I was there, Sting was there. I think he was the only guy that had a bigger line than me at the convention, but he does it all. Does the convention and the wrestling matches, and makes it a really big event that all of his loyal fans are very supportive of.
Is he the promoter of Big Time Wrestling? And I just didn't know.
Yes, sir. Yes,
wow,
sir.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, which Big Time Wrestling used to be the original Sheiks.
That's what I was going to follow up with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bobby was a big fan of the Sheiks.
No shit. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see it keep going on too, like that name in wrestling. That's awesome. And
Kirk White in California called his Big Time Wrestling too, but I don't think there was a relation to it. I don't think.
Yeah. I know we talked about Matt Riddle before. You never faced him in a singles match, though, correct?
No, this will be the first time ever match. Wow. Dude versus the bro.
Yeah. How about that? Well, that'll be pretty exciting to look forward to on March 9th next year. Jeez Louise.
I got my calendar so fucking booked next year already, like 11 or 12 different events, mostly conventions and autograph signings, but man, it's coming up on us quick.
Does that typically happen for you, Rob, too? Like where you get like on a yearly basis, like where it's just like you're booked so far in advance? Is that how usually your schedule goes a lot of the times, or do you hit peaks and valleys and stuff like that when it comes
to it? I guess it's hard to put a standard and say this is normal. You know what I mean? Like, you got to talk about the times when I'm not under contract and I'm in between contracts, and that's always a factor too. But I mean, sometimes there's like peaks and valleys. I think, but this year and last year I've just been busy as fuck. Like if I don't have some dates on my calendar and I think like, wow, I only got one date in October, I should be able to chill, or maybe we can go on vacation, or maybe I can get stuff done around the house or whatever. I know that's not going to remain the situation. Like pretty soon people will start saying, hey, are you available this date? What about this date? And that's the way it's been for at least the last couple of years. So been much more busy than I was before. Always at least as busy as I want to be.
Yeah, at least at bare minimum.
Yeah.
When it comes to like you being on AEW recently, I would imagine that kind of picks up a little bit. Like, do people call you a little bit more to get booked ahead of time or something like that? Do you kind of notice a correlation between that two, I guess?
I noticed like it helps One, I mean, I hear more from wrestling promoters because they know more. Like, oh, he is wrestling, if they question it a little bit. But it seems like it gives everyone else a good rub, though. That's in my clan. Katie, Sabu, even Fonzie will get more. Their phone will ring a little bit more and stuff. So,
Oh, that's fucking
I
cool.
love that it
Yeah.
trickles down through the family.
You reverberate. Rob
Yeah,
reverberates through people.
yeah,
I like it.
yeah.
Speaking of AEW, we talked about him a little bit last week as well. They announced today via press release that Ric Flair has signed a multi-year deal with AEW, so he's going to be around for a while.
Wow, good for him. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yeah. I can't. I'm not. I didn't read the press release, but and I don't know how many years it is.
How
But
many years
yeah,
is
yeah. He's got his energy drink, Woo Energy, is the
okay?
official energy drink of
Nice,
AEW now. So
nice. Okay. Yeah, man, good for him. I was really surprised to see him there. After my match, just coming back off Gorilla, and I was like, Ric Flair, what are you doing here? And I think I told you I stuck around to get the audience reaction from him because it's cool to really deliver something extra to Philadelphia. They kind of they're a special breed there, so they deserve a little something special.
Absolutely. It's kind of neat with Flair because he is such a stalwart in pro wrestling and such a, pillar in pro wrestling in a lot of ways. And he really defines the genre for fans in so much fashion. But on top of it too, he's like, I kind of like how he gets emotional about it. Like a lot of the times, he kind of it picks up for him. And even Sting said that when Flair came out last week, that he got emotional, and that was only the second time in his career he ever got like teared up and like basically cried in the ring was with Flair. So
The other time was when John Nord had gas. I
that's it.
remember that.
Oh my god, that's that has to be like I think everybody teared up on that one.
Yeah, man, that's cool. You know, I always when I see it, I always wonder, like, okay, but how much of it are you just kind of like allowing to happen, and some of it's like taking over for you, or you know what I mean? Like and I don't mean with him specifically, but just in general, like if you watch contestant, I watch Shark Tank, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
always like I can always tell like when they're gonna start getting serious, I always start going cry, 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 and it's like it helps them get a deal sometimes,
Right? There's a lot of times where you can tell. Now, sometimes people will put on the crying. Sometimes
Sometimes.
they have a tendency to get emotional, and then like to what you're kind of saying, they let themselves cry. Like, okay, I'm just gonna show it all out and have it happen.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
I remember I used to watch that fucking show, Lego Masters on Fox, where
Oh,
have the
okay.
competition and shit like that. And I hated all the contestants on there because there was always like this kind of like sob story. And I know reality shows try to do that anyways. And I'm just like, they're building Legos here. I don't give a shit. I just want to see them build the Legos. That's all I want. I don't need any of that extra. Like, you don't need to pull my heartstrings. That's
Right.
it. I want to see what
Yeah.
you can do with Legos.
The judges like it though.
The judges do like it, and it adds to the drama, I suppose.
Right. The crowd can invest their emotions into the
Yeah,
person, what makes them a little less one dimensional.
I bonded with my son over Legos, and so do these two people.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Well, cool. Something else I wanted to touch upon. So I don't know if you saw this, Rob, but New Japan issued a kind of a press release to their fans about not approaching wrestlers outside of their events when it comes to like public like interactions that aren't associated with New Japan. Apparently, I'll just read a little bit of it here, but it says, "Thank you for supporting New Japan Pro Wrestling. On principle, we ask that fans to refrain from contact with New Japan wrestlers outside of officially designated fan meeting events. This includes waiting for wrestlers on entrance and exits from the venue. Please bear in mind that around venues and hotels where wrestlers are staying, waiting for wrestlers and pressuring them for autographs and pictures puts a strain on personal time as well as disrupts regular business as other guests and staff. Please understand that in future actions deemed to be overly aggressive to be constructed as stalking will be discussed with local law enforcement and dealt with appropriately. And then they also say, we kindly ask fans to refrain from the following: waiting at dojos, venues, hotels, and places of transit, airports for wrestlers, as well as photography and video taken without consent, approaching wrestlers and requesting photographs and autographs outside of designated meet and greet events, directly bringing gifts and fan mail to wrestlers, gathering in large numbers around venues for wrestlers. And then it says New Japan and its wrestlers deeply appreciate the support of our great fans and ask your cooperation in respecting personal space as well as local residents and institutions. Um, Obviously, fans are all over the place. You interact, I'm sure you have your fair share of interactions with them in these kind of environments. How do you kind of feel about like a wrestling company that kind of almost lays a kind of a groundwork for it and be like, hey, can you kind of respect these parameters? Does it help? Do you think it's a good thing? Where do you kind of lie?
Pointless, dude. It's pointless.
Yeah.
It's pointless. And I get the inspiration, I get where you would have the incentive to want to do that. And, I recently, after the show, came back to the hotel. I'm, my clothes are still wet with sweat. I want to get to my room and shower, and I'm carrying my stuff through, and then there's a bunch of fans like right there as soon as I get to the hotel. And I did say to Katie, I said, how rude, don't you think? I mean, don't you think this is kind of rude? Just a little conversation instead of just a comment. Like I was like, don't you think this is kind of rude? And she said yes, but at the same time, I understand it because I was that fan. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And for them, that's like a chance in a lifetime, maybe, or maybe they do it every single show. Either way, it's pointless to try to ask them not to do what they do. There's no law that can prohibit it in a free society. And I mean, I'm not privy to all of Japan's laws, but I mean, if they can film in public without consent, anything that the eyes can see, the camera can film, then the whole thing is pointless, and it just kind of makes them come across sounding unappreciative. I want to say unappreciative from the perspective of a fan. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Could you do this in any other business, in the entertainment business? Could you say, hey, Britney Spears fans, or fucking, hey, rock star music fans, actors, fucking fans, whatever. Could you say, like, don't hang out, like in their bar they go to afterwards or whatever, like, well, just wait until we have a place where we can charge you $200 an autograph and you can wait in line. Don't take advantage of this person that's in the elevator with you. Pointless.
Yeah. Overall, it's like I kind of understand some of the sentiment because you do see some of the footage online where I think it was Jeff Hardy. There was him at an airport. There was Rey Mysterio at an airport. And you have those types of quote unquote fans that come up with all these memorabilia to get signed. And they're clearly just doing it to sell it.
Yeah.
But like that.
Yeah. They'll have like a big cardboard sheet and it's got rows of the cards taped to them. And they want you to go through and sign like 12 of the cards. It's like, okay, that's a bit, much. But I mean, if you've got the balls to ask, fuck, look at me. Here I am doing it. RVD. You win.
Fine. You're just writing. You should. You know what you should do is just drop wieners on it anytime next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
that's doing that then.
Yeah. There you go.
They don't mean to be rude. And like I said, I was one of them. I remember at the Kellogg Center waiting while Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart, Danny Davis, they all went to the bar that's next door at Stouffer's Hotel. And I waited until they were completely, I mean, I caught them on the way in, they ignored me. And I waited till they were done and caught them again on their way back. And it paid off. I got some autographs, and it was like, I know, Jim Neidhart, because he was a heel, so he was able to heel me and just say, fuck off. Yeah. And then, but Brett, he ended up signing, and he was a heel, but it was probably because I was waiting like a desperate kid for 2 hours while he was in there having a beer or something. But wait, I mean, what are you saying? Like, pretty please.
Yeah.
You can't enforce it. You can't. Why would you? Do you even have power of suggestion with enough leverage to make a difference? I don't think so. If anything, all you're doing is maybe putting in the fans' minds a different way of seeing it. Like, oh, I never thought of it that way. I guess, yeah. Maybe they don't want to take pictures at 6 a.m. when they just woke up from a cross country flight. Maybe not, but maybe they'll think about that. But then still, it's a chance in a lifetime to meet somebody that you admire on television, and there you are in real person getting a chance to fucking snap a photo or shake their hand or whatever. You're gonna say, oh, that one PR guy asked me to do that favor.
Maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I know it's a tougher predicament for fans because you want to do it. I know, like, if you're a considerate fan, you would think about doing it at an appropriate time, but it's also like, oh, when am I going to get this opportunity again? To kind of do something.
Right.
So it's kind of one and the same there in a lot of ways. Cool. No, I wanted to get your perspective on that. I thought that was kind of interesting. I will follow up.
That is interesting. I didn't know that they were suggesting that, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's my opinion.
Mhm.
Why stop with wrestling fans? Let's go to soccer fans, hockey fans, football fans. Why not? Hey, those guys have a life on the road too. They got to get some sleep. Let them hit the showers.
Absolutely.
Baseball, fucking, and definitely Fozzy fans.
Do you find it? I mean, I guess it's such a different atmosphere or genre, if you will. But do you find wrestlers kind of tend to be more accessible than other celebrities in certain ways, or from athletes and stuff like that? Because there almost seems to be a bigger filter or a gap in between where there's quote unquote more security or more, I don't know, routes to you that you can't really get through to get to pro athletes. Sometimes it seems wrestlers seem to be more there, it seems. Or am I mistaken on that?
No, I mean, I don't know. I think it's circumstantial
Mhm.
overall. Uh, I think that if you are a professional baseball player, you still probably go to the grocery store, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, and things like that. So I think that there's a big business in wrestlers conventions and autograph signings and stuff. Whereas maybe that's not as common with other sports. There's not a whole lot of football conventions or football players that can stay busy every weekend if they want to out there, but then it's like when you cross the threshold into being a celebrity, then that makes all the difference in the world. Then it's just about the celebrity, regardless of what that person's doing. You got action figures and stuff made of you. Hell yeah, people line up to get your autograph.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's true. It's very true.
You could be a Klingon. You could be a Klingon in Star Trek. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They
Hmm.
stay busy every weekend at the Comic Cons and stuff, and they're definitely, I would think, as accessible
Yeah.
as wrestlers.
And there's always
Wrestlers and Klingons.
wrestlers and Klingons. It's that level. That's the level of accessibility is wrestlers and Klingons together. All right, Rob, I will follow up as I usually do. Have you watched any wrestling this week?
Mm, I did not. Did
No,
not watch wrestling this week.
that's okay. Cool. We covered a good amount, I think. And we're about to cover a little bit more, particularly one of your most notable opponents, I would say, that I'm interested to get a further deeper dive into a perspective of, and who we've mentioned before on here several times.
All right.
We're a little past Halloween, but my plan was to do this around Halloween, so we're still in the vicinity of it all. We're going to talk about the Undertaker, Rob, today, and how I wanted to start it off is how he started off. He 1984, Mark Calloway signed a 4-year contract to start his wrestling career with and would be given the ring name Texas Red. So that's pretty interesting. As did you know, you guys wouldn't have crossed paths at all in WCW, correct? He would know.
Correct.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been there. He would have got at that point. But he do you remember before we start off actually going into his career a little bit, I wanted to see if you knew who his first ever opponent he was that he defeated at WrestleMania.
Was it Godfather?
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
So this happened
King? No, not King.
March 24th, 1991. It was WrestleMania 7. I kind
Viscera?
of, huh?
Viscera?
It wasn't Viscera, no. So it was Jimmy Superfly Snuka started it all.
I wasn't gonna get around to Jimmy for another 200 wrestlers.
Right. I forgot it was Jimmy. I really did. So how about that? But in late 1989, that's okay. Yeah, Mark Calloway arrived in World Championship Wrestling as Mean Mark Callis. Mark Calloway wrestled as Mean Mark Callis, a member of the Skyscrapers, placing Sid Vicious, teaming with Dan Spivey. Did you ever have any interactions with Dan Spivey in your career?
Very little, but yes. When I was in Florida, when I was just starting out, 91, 92, he was around. I can't remember any specific stories, and I'm thinking was he in WCW when I was there in 92, 93? I don't know.
He might have been.
He might have been, but that was still around the same time when I was in my really early 20s, and he was around, and a little bit. Barry Windham was around. Were they together? Why am I in my mind? I want to put them together. I don't know why.
I'm curious too. Yeah, they would kind of seem to line up with one another. It would seem. But Spivey, I know he went to WF during the New Generation era as Waylon Mercy, and that was a early take almost of a Bray Wyatt's earlier days.
I think I did All Japan maybe with Spivey.
Oh, really?
I think so.
He was in WWF from 1985 to 1988. Then he went to All Japan. So yeah, you might have ran into him in All Japan because he was there from 88 to 95. So I'm trying to see who he's wrestling. He teamed with Johnny Ace, Mr. John Laurinaitis, actually. Yep. So there we go.
Okay.
I know Shannon Moore had an interesting story about him. Apparently, Shannon Moore had substance abuse issues. He went to rehab, and a big proponent of him getting better was actually Dan Spivey. He would come to his rehab, pick him up, and take him to Starbucks. And he asked Shannon Moore straight out, "Do you want to get better?" And Shannon Moore kind of hemmed and hawed, "I guess I do," and stuff like that. And then Spivey just took him right back to the rehab center. Then a couple weeks later, he took him to Starbucks and asked him the same thing. And so then they started getting wheels in motion after that. But pretty interesting story about Spivey. I was unaware of that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he was, one of the Florida boys, like Johnny and like myself at that time when I started wrestling for All Japan.
Yeah. I know too. I wrote this one in the notes as well. On February 6, 1990, Clash of the Champions 10, the Skyscrapers, Spivey and Callis defeated the Road Warriors by disqualification. So Undertaker had earlier an action with the Road Warriors. What was funny is when AEW came to Pittsburgh the one time, I went there to meet up with Matt Hardy, and Big Show, Paul White, was sitting in the lobby, and I was chatting. He was just hanging out kind of, and I just started chatting him up a little bit. And he brought up this story about, I think the Road Warriors worked super stiff, with them in the ring. And Callis was so new at everything that he was in the back with Spivey, and Callis was ready. I mean, he thought he was going to legit have to fight the Road Warriors because of how stiff they were working with him. And then the Road Warriors got back, and it was just all ass slapping and hand pat.
Yeah, good stuff. Good match.
Good stuff, that kind of thing. So That's kind of an
Yeah.
interesting little notation I always kept in mind afterwards.
Yeah.
um, here's a fun trivia fact too. Rob, do you remember? Have you ever heard who Undertaker originally wrestled as on house shows in WWE? It was the Undertaker, but he had a first name that ties into him later on. Actually, a former tag team partner of yours.
Kane.
Yes, he was Kane the Undertaker. He started on WWE house shows. How about that?
Got one.
Yes, there we go. All right, and now the Undertaker made his WWF debut at the Survivor Series 1990, alongside another man you're familiar with, and Ted DiBiase, for a Survivor Series match. You were training at this time, correct, Rob? Around 1990 and all that stuff, and kind of just early cutting your teeth. Where was your fandom at this point? When you at this juncture, were you getting more serious about the business, I guess, when it comes to training? And
Yeah, because I started schooling with the Sheik in December of '89. So then, for the first 6-7 months or whatever, all the training that we would do also included watching wrestling, like the biggest mark ever, and talking about what we saw, however it was relative to our growing knowledge of the business and stuff. But my fandom at that point was so big that it's hard when I think back to my perspective of the WWE superstars at that time.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes I forget I was already in the business, because in my mind, I think I looked at them like I was just a fan still living at home with my parents. But there wasn't that much time in between.
Yeah, yeah. And with the presentation and how WWE was so mainstream and on the, big stage, it almost seemed like larger than life, almost like that, still that gap I would imagine being in there.
Undertaker debuted when?
Survivor Series of 1990.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I couldn't remember if I saw him before I got in the business or not. But that's pretty much when I'm just sticking my head in the doorway right then.
Well, so I kind of wanted to follow it up with this. You're training with the Sheik and everything, and the Sheik has hit such a strong mentality of keeping serious to the business and everything like that. What did he kind of give you some sort of impression of WEF at that time, since they were such cartoon character-esque and all that kind of thing? Was there something of that coming into play too? How you kind of kept that mentality, or what was he? Was he just kind of that's part of the business in certain ways and where the business is going?
I think those conversations were too advanced for us at that time. It was always about just going back to the basics and just wrestling. I remember him saying, yeah, and when we were in the ring, by the way, anytime, boom, I give you a back body drop. If I looked around at the people in the backyard, she could be like, "What are you looking at? Cover him. He's on his back. Cover him." It was always about you trying to win the match.
Yeah, yeah.
The time his shoulders were down, there was no reason you shouldn't be covering him unless you're, just on your way to your next move. And so it was always about that. I remember him saying he believed that only one person should be able to do the double bicep, and that was the champion, who was Hulk Hogan at the time. I think he meant Hulk Hogan, but I don't think that he meant only specifically Hulk Hogan. I think I took that to mean more generally, if it wasn't Hulk Hogan and it was the natural Butch Reed, for instance, then I think that the Sheik would have meant it was okay for Butch Reed to do double bicep too. But that was the thing about looking out at the crowd or whatever. And that was as colorful as the style got outside of waist lock, reversal, leg sweep, cover him. What he did say that always stuck out in our minds was that he said he was banned from New York City for 2 lifetimes, is what he told us. And from WWE, from him having heat with WWE, he alluded to it being about causing some riots from the heat during his match. And so that was, whether folklore or not, I don't know. I just remembered I never like finished Brian Solomon's book, man. It's like I gotta go back and finish that. I got distracted on other books, but yeah,
there it is.
It's not an easy read. I mean, it's not like or I shouldn't say that. It's not difficult to read, but it's not a quick read. That's what I mean to say.
Yeah. No, I still got to read it too. I always buy the books and I'm like, at least I have them and I will read them when I get to it.
There's so much in there, so knowledge packed. But so that's all I can remember was him talking about WWE in the context of that, being the territory that he wasn't allowed in, and of course when I got to WWE, he was proud of me.
Yeah, I bet. Was his heat that he told you about, was that with Vince McMahon Sr. or Vince McMahon Jr. at the time? Do you think it would have been?
I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm trying to line it up too. I'll have to.
Yeah,
I'll do some Googling after this and figure that out.
It's in that book for sure, though. Whatever the facts are to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, then I'll make this more of a priority to read then for
sure. It gives you alternate info too. Sometimes, if a story is told 2 different ways, he'll go ahead and tell you both. He'll say, the rumor is blah, 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 but it was stated in New York Times, blah, 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 and this is probably what really happened. And it's just, it's so good, but it's something that every once in a while I would put it down and read something that was a little different, mobster book or whatever, and come back to it. And I forgot to go back and finish it till just now.
Yeah, how about that? Hey, I know Brian Solomon too. He's in the process of writing a new biography too on Gorilla Monsoon. So that's his next
awesome
project he's been working on. Yeah, so
I did the forward in that.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, name's right there. Forward by Rob.
I got to hit him back and give him my feedback, but I wanted to wait till I finished the book.
Yeah, maybe that's what I should make it a priority to read. We should try to get him on here at some point or something too.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be super cool. Actually, let's do that.
Let's definitely do that. So I wanted to follow up with this too. I don't know when it's actually the right time to do it in the show, but I think since Undertaker just debuted, I wanted to get your thoughts, and maybe they're different from then and now. But what are your thoughts on a supernatural character in pro wrestling? Like, obviously, there's that suspension of disbelief where the Undertaker's, a dead man, quote unquote, or has these somewhat mystical powers. Where do you kind of fall on the supernatural character now in comparison to, say, maybe your time in ECW?
So I would have to think when I was on ECW, I would have been against a supernatural character. Mm-hmm. I would have thought that it was killing the credibility that I worked so hard to build. Mm-hmm. That's how I looked at it, Just like if somebody used the force and like choking some,
right? Darth Vader's doing that shit.
Yeah, throw a fireball, burn their face off. I'll believe that. That's. But now I just, I don't even think wrestling is now, or I believe. Now my understanding of what professional wrestling is quite different than what my understanding of what wrestling was back then. And there's so many things that, we're all part of it, and all of our efforts do impact the result, which does in fact change the substance of what it is. Mm-hmm. Some of us more than others. At the same time, we only have so much control over it. And so, like, when it comes to certain aspects of wrestling, like the actors and comedians or whoever getting into the business and hitting finishes and stuff like that, same with I guess supernatural characters. Like all of that now is just part of a big entertainment show that has wrestling as its foundation. And it also, the Undertaker's part of the show is like everybody's like favorite part of the show. So they don't care what wrestling is, but it takes the gladiators mindset out there fighting for what they're doing to still get that finished product that you get when you watch it. But overall, when the lights go out and his music hits, man, that's like everyone's like, and they love him too. You know what I mean? Like, so for sure. So, like, his being his part of the show would win anybody over, except maybe in the argument of the credibility, which would have been my only perspective back then. Now, who gives a fuck?
I think it's an interesting thing because I mean, when he made his debut in WWF, there was such like kind of larger than life characters there of a Hulk Hogan or Macho Man Randy Savage, or you had Brutus the Barber, Robbie the Barber's father, and then we had just a $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase,
Junkyard Dog, Tito Santana,
yeah, Jake the Snake,
Uncle Elmer,
Uncle Elmer, all that stuff. So it's like he kind of fit into that ecoscape, but it's also Boss Man, Big Boss Man. And so he fit in that landscape of things, but it was pretty interesting to see how he still kind of maintained. He was the one that still kept the gimmick pretty tied together for the majority of his career. Obviously, he took a venture out with the American Badass and stuff, but
and as far as commitment goes, that's Sheik too. I mean, Sheik was the most committed to his character, and that fire was originally, I mean, that was something mystical. He was throwing a fireball from his hand. So where does that fall on the scale of supernaturalism, credibility? It wasn't I don't think the idea was ever, hey, the Sheik of Araby has a lighter and some flint paper that he's lighting and throwing a ball. It wasn't that. It was, like maybe he's got powers. And he's got the flying carpet. So I think that he, in his own way, also was impressing that upon the crowd.
You add that air of mystery to yourself, and that kind of elevates your star power in a lot of ways. Like the Sheik, not just in that manner, but because he had that thing to the fireball aspect to it, it was like, dude, you don't fucking see that all the time. Like
he was the first one to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the Undertaker has that air of mystery. Plus, you look at somebody like an Ivan Koloff, who wasn't really Russian, but was committed to the character for how long and like acted like that outside of the ring all the time, like spoken Russian, all that stuff. Very, very rarely you would see him out of that. So, all right, we're gonna jump ahead a little bit here to when you were in WWF temporarily, June 16th, 1997 on Raw. The Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher defeated Jerry Lawler and Rob Van Dam on that
fuckers,
damn assholes and those skirt wearing guys.
I hope they pinned Jerry, not me.
Yeah, I don't know. But also on that very same episode, Farouk and Kama Mustafa, also known as Godfather, defeated The Undertaker and Ahmed Johnson. Did you have any interactions with Taker around this time when you were showed up in WAF as the ECW representative?
No, sir. None come to mind.
None come to mind. Okay. Jumping a few.
Well, I mean, he did shit in my bag that one time,
that
but
son of a bitch.
That's not even worth really bringing up. Like who hasn't had that happen?
You should have peed in his urn. That's what you should have done.
Ooh.
Let's see here. October 5th, 1997 was Bad Blood, meaning it was the first ever Hell in a Cell match between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. This was also the debut of his kayfabe brother Kane. Did you have any thoughts on Kane at the time? Was it in like at this state of the mind, you're in ECW, and so like another supernatural character coming into play? Was it just kind of in the backdrop? You were doing your own thing and not really thinking about what WF was doing at the time, or what?
Is Kane just now materializing for the first time?
Yes,
In what, in 97?
97. So they hyped him up as like, hey, this is Undertaker has a brother named Kane. He's gonna be here. He's coming. They were building the hype up, and sure enough, at Bad Blood, he shows up and costs Undertaker the match at Bad Blood 1997. So
I don't recall seeing or having any feelings on it. I don't think I was watching their show at that time.
Yeah,
Pretty sure it wasn't. I got a great Paul Bearer story though.
Oh, let's hear it.
So, okay, this is one, where you might want to roll one up real quick if you got one, because this is going to take about 4 minutes and 20 seconds to tell you this. So several years ago here in Las Vegas, we were at the Cauliflower Alley Club, which is an annual wrestling event here where a lot of old timers and young people, everyone comes together, award nights, all that stuff. Look it up, Cauliflower Alley Club. Fonzie met me out here, or maybe in LA. I was living in LA, but we did. We went there and we signed autographs in the nostalgia room, they call it, in the so it's where wrestlers are signing at tables in a little convention like area, and pictures for sale, stuff like that, in the daytime at the hotel where the Cauliflower Alley Club is. And I can't remember what all we were there for. It's a bunch of events, and there's a big banquet dinner that's a couple nights. Well, Fonzie and I were at Fridays, where at the nighttime after the daytime event, all the bars would go to Fridays. This was at the Gold Coast. They moved it now downtown, but at the Plaza. But the Gold Coast, everyone go to Fridays afterwards and have beers and bullshit or whatever. And I was there, and Fonzie comes up to me and he says, "Hey, Van Dam." He says, "Hey, I got you a hotel room, so you don't have to go drive back home. You can stay here for free." And I had a house that was in Vegas that I was going to drive to at the time. That was a rental. Anyway, I was like, "I'm just gonna cruise home." No, there's no charge. I got an extra room. No one's even using it. He goes, "Look, I got your room key," and he handed me a room key, and I'm like, "Oh, all right, where this come from?" These fans said they got like an extra room, and then these fans come over. You go, "Hey, just put them over. These are the guys." Say, "Hey, good to meet you." Boom, boom, boom. Met these guys, and like, "This is just an extra room." They're like, "Yeah, it's we're not using it. If you want to crash, you don't have to drive anywhere." And I was like, "Oh, well, all right, fuck, that's cool." And I stayed there. And the next morning, we needed to go down and do the signing in the convention. And Fonzie came up to my room to get me, and he's trying to get me going. And I'm rolling a doobie. He's like, "Van Dam, I don't know if we should, if we should get going down there." And I said, "Relax, Fonzie. Let me get my head straight here." And I spark it up. And he's like, I don't know, I don't know, that's a good idea to smoke in the hotel room or whatever. And I'm like, "Dude, it's fucking Las Vegas. Nobody gives a fuck," which I truly thought it before this situation. And we had our head out the window and we're smoking. And all of a sudden the phone rings. Brrr, and Fonzie picks it up and he's like, "Hello?" And he's like, click. And he hung up. And I'm like, "Dude, what was that?" And he said, "I don't know. They just asked, who is this? No one's supposed to be in this room." I'm like, "What?" And then it starts ringing again. I'm like, fuck, and then Fonzie and I were like, "Don't answer it, don't answer it." And Fonzie's like, let's get going. Let's get going. I was like, oh, okay, dude, hold on. It's almost done. Anyway, you go, Van Dam, you know, we need to get going before they send somebody up. I'm like, you know how big a fucking hotel in Vegas, the actual hotel in Vegas is? They got to go through the casino or the hotel elevator. I go, we got time. Trust me. Like, we got at least 5-10 minutes and before they send somebody. And I'm like hitting the joint. And Fonzie's like making sure all of our bags are ready and everything, a suitcase. He's like, all right, come on, Van Dam. And he's like spraying some stuff. And I fucking hit the doobie and oops. And I fucking throw it out the window. Bam. And all of a sudden, knock, knock, knock on the fucking door, right?
Mm-hmm.
We look out the peephole and I see what looks like 5 fucking uniformed cops.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I'm like, whoa, dude, what the fuck? And Fonzie, and so we answer it, we pick it up, or I mean, I'm sorry, we answer the door, and he's like, who? They were like, who? And there was a lady manager with them, and she was the one doing most of the talking. She was like, who are you guys? And why are you in here? This room isn't supposed to have nobody in it. And I'm like, somebody gave me a key last night to this room, and they said someone gave you the key to a room, and you don't know who it was. I was like, no, Fonzie. Junior goes, no, I don't know who they were. Somebody that we met last night. They didn't believe us. They
Really?
thought we were lying. And then one of the cops, of course, is like, I smell marijuana. Were you guys smoking marijuana in here? They're like, no.
Come on.
And the cop says, you know, if I find marijuana, you know, you guys are in trouble. And we don't have fucking marijuana, and I have it right in my bag, you know, like right by me. And I'm thinking, man, this ain't cool.
Yeah.
You know, this is not how I wanted to start my fucking day.
Right? No, right?
Like, damn, I should have listened to Fonzie. Should have went down, had a cup of coffee. I'd be at the table right now signing autographs. But the cop, so him and a partner, he's like, do you smell marijuana? And the other person goes in, and he's like, the other person said they didn't. No, I don't smell anything. And he's like, and they walked around, and so now 2 of them are walking around the hotel room looking for weed. And I got like 2 or 3 of them out in the hallway with the lady manager telling me, so you're trying to tell me someone that you don't know just came up to you last night at the bar, gave you a key, and said, "Here's a free room." Yeah, yeah. And then Fonzie's like, "Well, we're wrestlers. This is RVD with ECW. We're famous, and we have fans, and then they do stuff like that." And she's like, "We don't have you registered as guests, so you're not insured under our hotel. So, you know, you can't be here on this property." I'm like, okay, you know, I didn't know that. And she's like, you expect me to believe that you just got a yes. I mean, that's what fucking happened. What? And then the other guy's like looking around for weed. He's like, yeah. He comes out. Then he's like, you got marijuana in your bags? No, of course not.
Do I look like somebody that would have that?
Right. And if I get a dog, is the dog gonna give the same answer? I'm like, fucking get a dog, dude. No one's smoking weed. But really inside, I'm going, this is really not cool.
This is not good.
This is not healthy for my vibe, my Las Vegas vibe that I wanted to start with today.
Right.
It got like really tense. And I don't know why, but I kept thinking there was a trash can, and I was like wanting to throw my weed in the can, which would be so stupid. But I was thinking if they turned or something. I don't know why, but that was on my mind because I knew it was like right here in the zipper. And anyway, the lady ended up, you know, saying, you can't be on our property, and fine, we're leaving. And Fonzie says, you know, we're here because we're doing this convention. We're, you know, boom, boom, boom. And so they got our information and where we're going to be. And they said, you know, and we're like, you know, we're late now, you know, can we just go down there? We don't want any of this. And they ended up saying, you know, if we need you, then we know where to find you. And we might be coming back down there when we get more information, and need to proceed further with this investigation. Like whatever, dude, whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we get on the elevator, me and Fonzie, we're like, what the fuck, man? Dude, that was not cool, man. That almost killed my buzz.
Yeah.
Turns out those marks the night before that gave me that extra room key, turns out they were there with Percy Pringle, and he died.
What?
So he no-showed. He wasn't there because he died. Whoa. And that's why I got the free room.
That's fucking wild.
Paul Bear. Pretty crazy story, huh?
That's nuts, Rob. Holy crap. Man. Wow. And dude, that would totally, like, were you kind of worried too that they were going to come back down and be like, harass you while you're at the table and shit?
Fuck yeah. With my weed in my bag there. Yeah. I don't know if I moved it or what, but yeah, that was going through my mind for sure. It was a little stressful.
I can imagine that.
If you like listening to this podcast for the stories, tell us below. Hit the one other thumbs. How come it never tells how many thumbs down there are on any videos?
They don't do that anymore. Yeah, they don't do that.
That's weird. That's some weird like anti-hate stuff where they're actually censoring free speech. I think at that point.
I agree.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Wow, that's wild though. Geez, we'll touch upon Paul Bear again in a little bit, but we're gonna jump ahead. May 21st, 2000. It was Judgment Day. The Undertaker returned with a drastically new gimmick. It was the American Badass. He dropped the Deadman gimmick and became a mean biker and used Kid Rock's American Badass as his entrance. Rob, what did you think of the American Badass gimmick of the Undertaker? It was a little bit more legitimate in regards to who he was, maybe as a person and stuff like that. Did you like that kind of venture out of that version of the Undertaker? That's who you mostly interacted with starting off in WWE.
I felt indifferent, I think, about it. Like I think my head was just up my own ass at that time, worrying about myself and my path and what they're doing with me and dealing with politics and stuff. Like I said, I wasn't watching the show. Mm-hmm. I would watch, like I would record it. It wasn't 3 hours, it was 2 hours then. I'd record it and I'd just fast forward just to watch my match, just to critique, just to say, okay, yeah, or to come up with something new, like, hey, I could skip that step and jump right over it. That'd be cool. Or, I would look at it like that, but I didn't watch the whole show, didn't enjoy it. It was just so much, just all about business for me. So because of all that, I didn't know, and I still don't know. I got a question for you. When he was the biker, was he not a dead guy?
He wasn't a dead guy.
He was not a dead biker. So he was okay.
Yep.
I thought he was a dead biker till just now. Like I never really thought about it, that it was that drastic of a change of character. I thought it was just like a different side to him. Like, okay, this is Undertaker on Halloween.
This is Undertaker's Halloween costume.
Yeah.
No. Dead biker. I remember they had like little girls, like creepy little girls introing him and stuff like that to start off the show when he made his debut, and then it would turn into the Kid Rock music. But that was like the closest.
Little girl? Oh, you mean in the audio?
In the audio and stuff like that. Like, are you scared? And then he would come out on the bike. So it kind of had that past ties to his, creepy Deadman gimmick. But yeah, he was not dead anymore. He was just an American badass.
And did they ever go through and explain that, or they just kind of let it?
No. Okay. At least from what I don't remember them doing that at all. It was just like, okay, this is the Undertaker now, I guess.
There's probably an explanation in some alternate universe, like when they were talking about the storyline that went into Kane and how deep that actual story was. I don't know where that story was exploited or seen if it in fact played out on the wrestling show to the extent where everyone was able to get all that. But when I heard like all the thought put on it before, it just sounded like a fucking a comic book or
right. Because I think I'm trying to think what happened. Somebody burned the house that Kane and going by the story, obviously, burned the house that Kane and Undertaker lived in. I think it was Kane who burned the house. Their mom died. Paul Bearer took them in, and Kane was.
Watch the thumb. Watch the thumb.
Oh gosh, you get infringement. Gooseneck. Kane was the Kane was the evil child, and the Undertaker like went away from it or something like that. They had some in-depth stuff with it. You know? I just remember that.
The other thing, besides the gooseneck,
Yeah.
the other thing that it's I don't know why some people do this, but their hands get like really wide too, like that. Like
that's the other. So we had the fist.
Someone do this with no thumbs, right?
Yeah.
Someone do this like I get a lot of pictures like that. Like I'm doing that, and they're like RVD. I don't know why. And then some people like for some reason their hands get like really wide, like they just roll over the tops.
Like action figure hands.
Yeah, I think my dad would do that. I think I have a picture of my dad.
Oh, really? That's great.
Someone did that the other day, and I was like, "Well, that's a whole nother."
That's the RV dad. This is RV dad right here. I like it.
Yeah. This is the best stuff.
That's the Linda. Do the Linda.
So there's probably a story like that with the burnt house where the dead guy ended up being a biker and then died again. I don't know.
I bet they might have been a comic book. I know the Undertaker had several comic books on him. Did you have any Kid Rock interactions?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Do you remember any like when you met him or anything like that?
Well, do you remember Joe C?
Yes, Little Joe. Was he the little guy?
So he was a friend of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was in Kid Rock in the band. What was the band called? Country something.
Did they have a band name? I didn't even know.
Yeah, because they were separate. Like he paid them. They were just for hire.
No shit, I didn't know that.
He made all the fucking money. Yeah, and I used to say to Joe, like, "Damn, dude, he's making so much bank, and then he just pays you guys." Anyway, it was like the three of them, like Joe C, the lady, and anyway. When I met Joe C, that was in Detroit. He's from Detroit. Kid Rock's from. They're all from. We're all of us are from Detroit. Same.
Yeah.
ICP as well, and we all come from the same area. But anyway, we were at a show or ECW show. I believe it was ECW. Yeah, it was. So this is early '96, something like that. John Pee Wee Moore, our referee, also lived in Detroit. And this is before the doors are open. This is when, chairs are being set up, hour or two, I guess, before. And I'm walking around and I'm in the dressing room and I think Pee Wee left the kid. I saw Joe C first, and I kicked him out of the dressing room. Hey, you can't be here, man. And he's like, no, I'm with Pee Wee. I'm like, no, wait for him out there. And I kicked him out of the dressing room. And then a little while later, I walked by, and he was back there, but he was with Pee Wee. And Pee Wee was like, hey, Rob. And I was like, hey, I already kicked him out, dude. I told you can't be back here. And Pee Wee was like, no, he's a friend of mine. And I'm like, so you can't fucking bring him back here, dude. I was protected by business.
Sure, yeah.
And then he said, no, he's Joe C. He's a rapper. He's actually like really famous, with Kid Rock. And I'm like, what, dude? Get the fuck out of here! And he was like, no, yeah. But I'm like, I didn't want to hear it. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Just keep it moving or whatever. And he's like, no, for real. And then this little kid, like I thought he was, a fucking, I don't know what, 7, 8-year-old.
Yeah, because he looked like that.
Yeah, and he looks up at me, and just from his articulation, I could tell that he wasn't a kid. And the way that he was putting his words, and he was like, yeah, no shit, bro. I got this disease, and like I'm really fucked up. I can't eat normal food. I got to eat through a tube that I plug into my belly button here, and because I can't digest food, and so it's as tall as I'm ever going to be. I'm 26 years old, and I was like, holy fuck! Like, there's no way that a kid is telling me that. That's an adult talking to me.
Yeah.
And then anyway, we became good friends then after I kicked him out. And I always hung out with him. So when often I would get with him when Kid Rock was around, if they were in town, a town that I was in, we'd usually get together. Me and Joe C would smoke. So Kid Rock would be just coming through the catering or whatever and say hi to him, but I never gave him a Van Daminator or anything like that.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Wow. So he I think the disease he had is celiac.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing what the name of the band though he was in. The name of the band.
Yeah, check that out. They have a name for the three of them. Let's see. Hey Siri, what was the name of the band that Kid Rock contracted?
Kid Rock began his professional music career as a member of the hip-hop music group The Beast Crew in the late 1980s.
That ain't what I'm trying to say. She's talking about the Beast Crew.
Beast Crew, yeah, that's what I just saw too. I'm trying to figure that out. Jeez. Let me see here if I can find.
Oh, you know what? We'll look up Joe C because he was part of
I just Wikipedia'd him and I couldn't find anything that he was with.
Oh,
they just called him a hype man and a rapper on Wikipedia. Let me see here. Gangster rap, including local rapper Joe C, DJ Uncle Kracker. I remember Uncle Kracker.
Right.
Early Morning Stone Pimp. That's the name of the album. Yeah, I don't know. If any of you listeners are...
I'm thinking like something about traveling or walking.
Yeah, there's something I thought I saw on here. Huh. I don't know if any of the listeners or watchers here on YouTube, you see this, you know the name of the Joe C band, you put it down in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it that way. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that you knew Joe C and Kid Rock that much.
Oh, yeah.
How's about that? Yeah. All right. Well,
one time, so he had to get plugged into that machine every night, like at 10 o'clock or something, and put the hose into this nozzle that was like down there where his belly button is. And one time he was in town for, I think it was the Emmys, one of those really big nights, Sean Puff Daddy was staying in the hotel, like next to him or whatever. This was something that was funny about Joe C. He would always want to just get out of there and go hang out with the wrestlers, smoke weed, hang out with RVD. And I'd always be like, dude, man, look who's in your room, and he'd be like, yeah, I know. He was always like that. Man, I got so many Joe C stories now that I think about it. But they would always be like coming up to him while we're trying to smoke. Hey, Joe, they need you for this commercial or whatever. Be like, man, I'm supposed to have a break, and he was just, it was funny because I'd be like, dude, like that's fucking awesome. They want you in a Pepsi commercial, what? But anyway, I had picked him up from the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel where he was staying. I don't know if it was the Hollywood. No, it was. It totally was. I don't know why. It seems like I picked him up somewhere else, but I know I dropped him off. But anyway, where I lived was 45 minutes away with no traffic. That's great, if you could just fly down there.
Yeah.
With traffic, even worse. And he was down at my house, down by the water, and we're smoking. and he just like started like fading on me, you know. And Joe, you all right? Huh? Yeah, no, I'm cool. I'm cool. You all right? Are you just tired? You know, you want some coffee or something? And all right, cool. You know, and then a few minutes later, I noticed him doing it again, like he's falling asleep. And I'm like, Joe, what's up? And he's like, oh, he goes, I need to be hooked into my machine by 10 p.m. And it's like, dude, what? It's 11:30.
Holy
What
shit.
the fuck? How come you didn't tell us? And then we tried so hard, flew, trying to go all the way back up to Hollywood, speeding, flying by everybody because I thought Joe C was gonna die. Hang in there, Joe. He's in the back seat, like, stay with us, buddy. We're almost there.
Oh,
I was scared as fuck. I didn't know, you know, but we got him. We got him up there, and then I remember seeing him like run across Hollywood Boulevard because for some reason I dropped him off across the street, and seeing him run and like, you know, being scared of cars and shit was like, it was like really like eye opening. Like, wow, it must be scary being that size, you know, in this world. But he did live to see another day.
He did, yeah. Holy smokes. Yeah.
Plenty
Can't remember where he passed away. It was let me take a quick look here just to make sure. Passed away in November 16th of 2000. So he was 26 years old. How about that?
So at this point, I am talking to WWE, negotiating, whatever, talking about coming in and signing a deal. But at the same time, my knee is fucked up. I heard it in Thailand doing the fucking Black Mass 2 movie. I fucked my knee up and it's swollen up and I'm limping. I'm trying not to sell it, but I was at Joe C's funeral and there was only a couple other wrestlers there. I mean, Sabu was there. I think Just Incredible and X-Pac. And that was about it. But somehow after the funeral, the word got back and got out that my knee was hurt. Okay. And not only that my knee was hurt, but then I was concerned that WWE would find out and then it would hurt my position, you know, in trying to get a job, and it would fuck my leverage up. And I couldn't believe that got out. And I always would think about that when I think about Joe C's funeral. Bob Ryder was printing stuff, you know, about that. I don't want people to know that my knees hurt. And I was denying it with facts. You know, I was like, oh yeah, well, my knees hurt. How come I squatted 405 for 12 reps last night? You know, and it was true, but also my knee was hurt. And I ended up sucking it up for another 4 years. And my ACL just kept whittling away, but it hurt like the whole fucking time. People don't even know that. When I was in WWE rocking, like jamming, 2001 to 2005, my fucking knee was killing me. And then one night it finally snapped, my ACL, in a match. Me and Ray were wrestling the Basham Brothers, and they went to backdrop me, and I just like rolled on his back, landed on my feet, bam! My ACL band had snapped, and then I couldn't straighten my leg out or bend it. It was just stuck in a position slightly bent, and I was fucked, you know. And I tagged out, rolled out, kept walking back and forth alongside the ring down there on the floor, trying to walk it off, and it was not working. And I was fucked. And I kept looking over at Terry Taylor because he was the agent, and I saw him watching, and I was just like, fuck, you know. And I don't know what happened. You know, it's like it's not getting better, you know. And I'm walking, wouldn't straighten out or bend. It was fucked. So then I had to get surgery, which was my only surgery that I had in my career.
That's wild. You know, like, for you to be dealing with that knee injury during that time too, that's like, yeah, you're right in the thick of like you hitting, you know, your W stardom early on and all that stuff, and like from the fans, the layman's eye, we wouldn't even known. I didn't know.
No, that's why, you know, that's that old school mentality of not wanting anybody to know you're hurt. Because why? Because I can still work. If I can still get out there and do the job and make some money tonight, and I want to do it, it ain't your business how I feel. And so I sucked it up for 4 years, and then and you know, sometimes the guys would ask me, You know, like I remember Spike Dudley one time in particular saying, "Rob, are you okay?" And I was limping so bad. I was like, "I'm fine." And I was like limping over to the shower, you know.
Yeah.
And he laughed and said, "Rob, I don't think you'd tell us if you were dead." Which of course I wouldn't, because how could I?
How could you? You'd be dead.
But I always remember that Spike said that. But I wouldn't tell anybody because I didn't want time off.
Right.
I bawled when I finally did have to go and get it operated on and take time off. I remember crying when I was talking to Vince. Like I felt like I let him down so much because I felt like I was selling this package of indestructibility at my high risk level of output. This is all on me. I'm showing you I'm not going to get hurt. I'm going to do this and pull through and be there for you every night. And bam, all that was taken from me. So I was a bitch about it.
Well, dude, if you set yourself a standard too, of being like, this is the mentality I have, and I'm going to keep it that way. And then once it finally hits, and you're like, damn it, I gotta fucking take time off. It would have to feel like a letdown,
Yeah, for sure. It's like, oh god, I'm gonna miss fucking WrestleMania. I'm gonna miss the ECW thing. I don't even know if we had that already or not. I can't remember.
Man, yeah, I think maybe that came later, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if we had it planned or not though, because I know when I did the ECW first pay-per-view, I had the knee brace on from the surgery. So
yeah, that's right.
That was it seemed like probably, I don't know actually. I was gonna say probably like 10 months after the surgery, but I don't know. 6 months, Carlito jumped me 6 months after surgery, and I don't remember where that was with ECW. I just remember that I felt good enough to at least, take a couple bumps in there.
Yeah, exactly. Take a couple. Get used to it there. Man, let's see here. So on November. So this is interesting, Rob. Let's see here. Your first match with The Undertaker occurred on October 1st, 2001 on an episode of Raw. Booker T, Rob Van Dam, and Test defeated Chris Jericho, Kane, and The Undertaker. Then, following up, a little more than a month later on Raw, you defeated The Undertaker to retain the hardcore title. So you stood. You had your own streak against The Undertaker. You did.
Are you sure you read that right?
At least that's what I saw in Online World of Wrestling. Those were the two matches that I saw. So your first.
Well,
how about that? Your own streak against The Undertaker, but it only lasted to be 2-0 because on December 9th, 2001, on Vengeance, The Undertaker defeated Rob Van Dam to win the hardcore title. We'll maybe have to take a deeper dive at this match later on at some other point.
Hey, I'm trying to give the kid a rub,
That's it. You got to get that American Badass gimmick over at some point. Why not let RVD do it? Any memories of that match offhand? A Vengeance hardcore title match? I don't have too much details on it at the moment.
Yeah, I remember doing the crossbody from the upper level.
Yep.
And thought it was crazy that they wanted all these crash pads and stuff, because that just was not what I was used to. We didn't do that shit anywhere up before that. Also, it was cool. The stuntman, by the way, was here.
Okay.
I just had his name again.
The assistant guy.
Yeah. Lee. Anyway, I guess it's not going to change much about the show if I remember unless he's listening. Then it'd probably mean a lot to him if I remember his name. But man, really good guy. Anyway, boom, did the crossbody from the upper level to Undertaker. And what was cool was they had sprinkled baby powder all over. And when we hit, like a big cloud of this shit came up. And I thought that was really cool.
Oh, nice. Little effect there.
At least that's the way I remember it.
Nice. And then a few days later on SmackDown, Rob Van Dam and The Rock tagged together to defeat Chris Jericho and The Undertaker.
Hey, I'm trying to give the kid a rub.
it's all you're doing, man. You know, you got to work with these people. You got to make some stars while you're there. You know. Now, I know you're in the competitive mindset at this point, at this juncture of time, anything like that. Are you kind of being like, wow, I'm really working with the top guys here, and like I feel like I belong? Did you kind of have that mentality going on at this moment in time, like SmackDown around this 2001 when you're simulating in WWE?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was pretty stoked to be wrestling against these main eventers and representing hardcore style, because I've always been a lot more comfortable with a hardcore style. I feel like I'm showcased and showcaseable more in such a light. So I thought that was really cool because I wasn't. I was able to do it my way and be seen the way I wanted to be seen as the hardcore wrestler RVD, and that was what was in my mind. That was what has gotten me to the main event, because that's what I was doing at that time. And I think, they started, I was main eventing the house shows, the live events sometimes as a hardcore champion. And I've always felt like, and I still do, that their plans were never for the hardcore championship to be the main event draw. It was a joke to them before I got it that meant someone was going to get a swirly in the bathroom, or the taco stand was going to get tipped over and catch up in someone's eye. Like it was
wrestling in the ball pits at McDonald's.
I feel like I took it from that to main event status by putting it on my waist and having those exhibitions with it. And so I think that's why they got rid of it.
Do you think, to veer off just for a second, do you think a type of hardcore title today would work in today's wrestling landscape?
I don't know. I don't see why not, but I really don't know what's out there, because like, isn't the 24/7 belt, isn't that basically the same? Or I don't know.
It kind of like you just, it's most roundabout way. They just call it was, but it's defunct now. It's no longer exists. They got rid of it. So
I always like that, but the problem is that it becomes less distinguishable when you start having all the other matches so violent and inclusive of weapons and thinking outside the barriers of a normal match. That's what always sucked, and that's what sucked about. Well, anyway, yeah. When if there's a hardcore match, and then like, ooh, just like if there's a ladder match, ooh, you can pull out ladders, people still get excited about that. They wouldn't so much if there was ladders used in 3 other matches on the card,
Right. If you were to do a hardcore title, it would have to be those types of matches would have to be specific to that title. And then but that also pins you in a corner if you wanted to do certain different matches for everybody else. So it's kind of
it depends on, the other style would have to be legit, like get in the ring before the ref counts you out.
Right. You'd have to adhere to some of that stuff.
And you just got to get the refs back, get the refs' attention, and be creative. If you're gonna bring in a chair or something, nothing wrong with that. And then when it's the hardcore match, then it means, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck, anything goes. So I'm all for it.
That'd be kind of neat if if AEW started doing the FTW title that way, since Hook has it and stuff like that.
That's what I thought. I thought about that when I first found out they had the FTW. That's maybe what they would do. But if you're having like death matches on the on the show, then that's like a whole nother level
of hardcore. Like that's
yeah. So I don't think that it's gonna fit as well there,
true.
stand out as much.
Yeah. They could maybe do like what you were just saying, like maybe just no disqualification, like count out, like you get rid of some of the rules that come with your typical match. Something like that might be interesting.
If they wanted
to. July 15th, 2002 on Raw, The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar beat RVD and Ric Flair. So going back to Flair, you tagged with him there in 2002. After the match, Brock Lesnar attacks The Undertaker. So after I just want to follow up with that. You and Taker, like Taker's dynamic backstage, interacting with him overall. He's known to have a pretty good sense of humor, from what I hear. Obviously, he was the known judge of Wrestler Court. Did you have any Wrestler Court stories or anything like that, Rob?
No, my only firsthand experience with Wrestler's Court was one time catering and the hallways were empty, and I heard some rumbling in an auditorium or something, and I opened up the door like, where the fuck is everybody, you know? And I looked in here, and I'm like, what's going on in here? And someone said Wrestler's Court. And I was like, oh. I rolled my eyes, like, oh, fuck this. And I just shut the door and walked away. And he got a pop like that. Everyone laughed, but I'm sure they knew that was the last thing I want to be part of.
You wanted to deal with. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I always hear about the one with Brian Gewirtz where he was Edge and Christian gave him a flash action figure or something like that, and they thought he was being bribed to write for them or something like that, so he got put on Wrestler's Court for that. I know Kurt Angle was sitting in the jury or something like that, but pretty interesting stuff. That's hilarious. So that's great.
But like in the real world, you know, because I'm the flesh straight out of the dressing room, so I came up on those morals and stuff. But in the real world, as the business is becoming more of a safe, friendly work environment, however the cool way to say that is, if you were to have a meeting with a writer on a show that you're on, and you wanted to pitch some ideas or whatever, and over dinner or drinks or whatever, and in the real, that would be like good business, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like normally, like if you had a sitcom or something, or a TV show, but in the business, I remember one time seeing one of the boys at Waffle House sitting over there with the writer, and all the other boys were together, and I was just like, stooge. And the mentality is so stupid that, like, at that point, it's like, would I even want it if I have to do that?
Yeah.
It's a job. It's your career. It's more money. It's better placement. It's fucking maybe better enjoyment if you're pitching something that you want to do. There's so many benefits. But at the time, just being raised in the dressing room, you got these blinders on, and it's just like, what a suck ass. Look at that.
Yeah, I would only imagine that you would not only think like, okay, this dude's sucking up and trying to politic, but it's like you're going against the grain of what you're used to with pro wrestling, like, and that mentality and everything like that. So
yeah, it's so stupid when you really look at it from outside the perspective.
From outside, it's like you're helping yourself. There should be nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? How about Undertaker backstage with you? You guys have a pretty good relationship, just professional relationship?
Yeah. I don't remember ever having a problem with him. I don't remember ever really bonding a lot, he's always been cool, always been fine to joke around with or whatever, as much as I can remember. I did work with him a lot, singles matches.
Yeah.
And that was cool because neither one of us needed to see each other at all before the match. And that's rare, but that's how it was working with Take. And he was an authoritative figure, though, you know what I mean? Because, like, even though he's one of the boys, still if he's in the dressing room, most people are going to want to be on their best behavior. Or here's one for you.
Right.
I don't know if I talked about this or not. The overseas tours. When we would go, we'd be overseas. Sometimes, we'd have 5-6 nights in a row where we got to travel every morning or whatever. Man, we would wrestle, and this is everywhere. Italy, fucking everywhere. After you wrestle, you can go and get on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And then the idea is that then you can leave earlier. You're already ready, hanging out on the bus, after you shower and whatever. And then you just eventually just waiting on the main event, right?
Right.
I can't tell you how many times Undertaker and like Triple H, sometimes Batista, although I didn't blame Batista as much because he was, more following the leader. But so many times we're all on the bus and they're out there rocking the house, and after their match, ding ding ding, it's over. Okay, cool. Hopefully we can leave because we have a 4-hour drive. We already know that we have to be at the airport at 8 a.m. So maybe we can get to bed by 4 and have like 2 hours sleep because we're staying at the airport, maybe if we leave, but we're waiting and waiting and waiting. And every once in a while, man, like 45 minutes goes by, the show's over.
Yeah.
Everybody's on the bus except the main event. So I go in there and just, I gotta pee, go in there to pee, and I look, and there would be Undertaker and sometimes Hunter, and they're sitting on chairs with their boots still on and their shorts down to the floor, with a towel, sitting in a towel in a chair, putting each other over, just sitting there like, oh, whew, brother, we fucking had him tonight. We had him, bro. An hour after the show's over, they're still giving each other hand jobs. I hated that part of I thought it was so inconsiderate, and I just knew I wouldn't do that, if that was me. But hey, I can't say that I drew fucking $1 million houses like those guys were. Maybe I'd need a hand job afterwards in the dressing room. But they would just, they would just talk about how great their match was, as if they were the only ones that drew everybody there. And I know it sounds like I'm talking shit, but this is just a perspective of frustration that I was in at the moment. Yeah. This is how it was. We would have a cooler of beer on the bus in the front, and that would be a reason to go to the bus also afterwards. You could start drinking and wait on everybody so you could leave. And we're waiting, and after so much time after that last match, half hour afterwards or whatever, somebody would always grab our cooler of beer and go bring it inside to kiss ass and set it down between those two guys sitting in their towels in aluminum chairs with their shorts down around their wrestling boots. They would run, and I remember like Rico Constantino doing it, and he'd be like, I'm going to bring the beer there. No, Rico, please don't.
Oh, Rico.
Please
no.
Make them come out here. Make them come out here to drink, man. If we leave now, man, we might get 5 hours sleep in the hotel before we got to check out, bro. And he'd be like, yeah, you think? I'm like, yes, I think. Come on, bro, please don't do it. A few minutes later, he'd be like, yeah, boom. Oh, come on.
No.
Like we're adults, but at a certain point, it feels like we're kids, like trying to manipulate each other into doing or not doing things or whatever. But sure enough, it goes in there and sets down the fucking cooler of beer. So now we got another hour. I swear there's been times where we're 2 hours after the match is over. Does that sound inconsiderate? You don't have to answer that. But anyway, that there's a story that comes to mind when I think of the dead guy.
How about that?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I went and saw his stand-up recently.
Oh, how was it? I was going to ask about that.
Cool.
Yeah,
it was cool. It was a lot different than I expected. It was mostly him having fun and laughing, and Godfather was there, so they were cutting each other up and mentioning like little teases of past stories. Like, oh, brother, you're not gonna tell that. Godfather kept saying, "Bro, my wife is right there in the front row. Don't tell that fucking story. What are you doing?" And they were drinking. They got really hammered the whole time on stage. It was a lot of fun though.
That's awesome. Like, yeah. I hear it's really good. Like, and he, I, if I'm not mistaken, too, I don't think you're allowed to use your cell phones at all either. So they keep it like boom. So
that's right. That's where yeah, they keep it on the way in.
Yeah,
no problem getting it right back. Like, how'd you know? How'd you do that? But
yeah, right. I know they do that with a lot of like stand-up acts, like certain ones. I think Dave Chappelle's very stringent about that kind of stuff, but pretty cool because then it just opens up. Hey, you can kind of say whatever. And not
New Japan's going to start doing that when you leave the fan events.
That's right, they are.
You only have your phone when you're there, but not when you leave there.
Mm-hmm. Take your phone. Take your phone. Speaking of Godfather, the Bone Street Crew was founded by Yokozuna, which Godfather was a part of. That was almost the Undertaker's quote unquote clique. It was Yokozuna who coined the name of the group, and the Undertaker was made up of wrestlers who were friendly with one another and shared similar interests, playing dominoes, bones, as they're known as. Members of the group were vetted by Yokozuna and the Undertaker. Several members of the Bone Street Crew had letters BSK tattooed on themselves. Rob, did you run into a gang?
Wait. What is the BSK?
The Bone Street Crew.
I never knew exactly what that was, but something to do with dominoes?
Dominoes, so bones, like they would play dominoes. And they
Domino D'Angelo?
Yes, that's it. Mm-hmm.
I
was part of the crew.
Are you saying that has something to do with his skeleton? Did it Papa Shango or no? Or did I make that up?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think that all just stemmed from Yokozuna playing dominoes with the Undertaker. And but did you run in a gang, Rob? Did you have a clique name with you and Sabu?
No.
No?
No. But I know, like, they talked about it, at the Deadman show, and also Tex is one of them, right? Tex
Dennis Knight.
Yeah. Funny fucking dude.
Dude, he's a fucking character. We had him on Road Dogg. Oh my God. One of the most wild episodes we've ever done. He's such a funny dude, nice dude, has quite the personality. All right. March 5th, 2013 is when Paul Bearer passes away. So, geez, right when you were talking about. How about that?
And what year is this?
2013. So March 3rd of 2013. Or March 5th. I'm sorry. March 5th of 2013. So passes away. Overall, pretty nice. What a compliment to the Undertaker as a gimmick. Paul Bearer, the Undertaker. Obviously, he was Percy Pringle and stuff like that. But yeah, just a good kind of manager to have for Taker. Let's see. We mentioned earlier in a previous episode about the streak ending by Brock. We talked about him being the right man for the job.
Yeah.
Was there any desire for you to be part of the streak? Like what? Right?
What do you mean?
Like
I want to beat the Undertaker?
Not that you wanted to beat the Undertaker, but would you thought it would be pretty cool to be a part of that echelon of talent that faced him at WrestleMania, according to the streak? Maybe he beats you on the way for the streak. He builds you you're one of the guys to fall to him on the streak.
I can't say that ever crossed my mind, Domino.
All right. Let's see. All right. Okay, going into this, Undertaker goes in the Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Fame in 2022.
Oh yeah, why did that take so long?
I don't know. Well, I think because he was an active wrestler for so long, and then with WrestleMania being in Texas that year, maybe it just kind of made sense to boom. Let's get Taker in there in his back.
So does that mean that I'm definitely not an active wrestler with WWE? What about Rey Mysterio?
He got inducted while he was active.
And he's active. Okay, so there's not like a certain rule, because I used to think you had to be retired, but then I don't know.
Well, he was basically retired at that point, anyways. The only one that wasn't, though, was Rey Mysterio. He was the only active wrestler, I think, to be inducted.
Interesting.
Yeah, isn't it? Very interesting. Undertaker's legacy, Rob. I always ask about this at the end. What do you think his legacy is in wrestling?
Man, I don't think I really understand how to answer what someone's like. Basically, like, what is it going to be remembered for, right?
Yeah, kind of basically that.
I feel like I don't have the correct understanding of the word because, especially by that answer, because you're like, oh, basically, but if it's not that, then I don't know what it is. Like,
yeah, I would say it's what he's going to be remembered for most in wrestling.
So he'll be remembered for his long fucking career of headlining huge pay-per-views and being a dead guy.
Being a dead worker. Yeah.
His I mean his I guess, very very entertaining matches that are unique in that they come from such a one of a kind character, and he's big dude, so he's a great representation of what wrestling is, and he's been wrestling so long that I think he's definitely one of those icons where if you want to talk about watching wrestling on TV or growing up watching it or whatever, I think his name has to be in that conversation as one of the OGs and one of everybody's favorites. A lot of people, he's their favorite, and goth people, and he reaches out and touches and connects with so many people that love darkness too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's definitely transcended a lot of pop culture and stuff like that too when it comes to that, and it's very tough to do sometimes in wrestling. So,
and he was in The Nanny.
And was he in The Nanny?
The Hulk Hogan movie?
Yeah, he was in that.
I'm pretty sure.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow, I'm gonna have to look that up. I've never watched The Nanny, to be honest.
Well, I could be wrong though. I don't know.
But I'm gonna say you're right though.
Yeah, I usually am.
Like, well, you know what?
Commando that I'm thinking of though, but
I think you're right. I think it is actually that, or that, or like what's the one with the Thunder in Paradise? Maybe it was in that. I can't remember. We'll let the YouTube comment answer it for us.
YouTube Chris knows.
Oh, I bet yeah. YouTube Chris definitely knows. Something you're always right in, Rob, is when after we wrap it up, it is RVDology. You always instill us with a little bit of knowledge here. And last week, you talked about options. And
yes.
Options. That was something I very much kept in mind every time I did have options, which a lot of times you do have options in life. You always do. So I'm trying to think of the one certain instance too where that came up. Mostly with budgeting my time in a lot of ways, I would think about it in regards to like, hey, how do I balance out my work schedule and make all this stuff work because my jobs shifted and everything like that with freelance writing. And so trying to lay that out and realizing I have options. That's always one to kind of a good one to keep in mind, Rob.
Yeah. A lot of people don't think that they do have options. And I made a point that you do have options. You might not like the options, but it's funny. I heard a couple of times on TV shows just in the last couple of days, and it stood out in my mind because we talked about this, but so, that they said, hey, he had no choice. What are you going to do? They had his kid. What are you going to do? And it's like, you always have a choice. But when you don't have a choice is when it's a non-action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you're not doing anything, you don't have options. When you're doing something and it's an action, then you have options. So example, someone puts a gun to your head and you say, I don't want to die. He pulls the trigger. He didn't give you no options. That was a non-action. You didn't do nothing, but you got shot. You were on the receiving end of the action there. But did he have an option? Absolutely. And if he says, his boss said that he has to shoot you Otherwise, they're going to shoot him. He's going to say, look, man, I got no other choice. But he does.
He still got a choice. Yep.
There's always a choice. So don't let people manipulate you by saying, hey, you made me do this. I had no choice. I had to react in the way that I did by you taking that action. It's your fault. But that's not really all true, because there's options.
Mm-hmm. There always is, unless you got a gun to your head.
Cool. We don't have to get real specific, but I really felt like that was going to help some people. I hope it does. And damn, I think this is to be number 3. Fucking feels like it.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Well, what timing then for the new RVDology going on? What do you got for us this week, Rob?
I want to bring to attention that listening is a skill. Listening is important. It's something that a lot of us could improve upon, because sometimes people really want to be listened to. And there's a big difference between listening and talking. So, like if I'm talking to somebody and they're talking over me or interrupting me, I don't believe you can listen and talk at the same time. That's my belief. That's my ideology. And so for me, especially if I'm doing, if I'm giving something instructional or someone asks for my help or whatever, let's say Dom says, hey, can you give me an opinion on my wrestling match? And I'm like, and I watched it and I'm like, yeah, Dom, well, I could tell like at the beginning, like you circled around so many times before you even locked up. Like that's something you do when you're first starting out and you're really green. And then Dom starts saying like, yeah, I know I got to stop working. I got to work on that. Dude, are you listening or are you talking? Now for me, I don't really like to talk that much. So I can get a little insulted when people interrupt me when I feel like they should appreciate that I'm talking. And not everything that comes out of my mouth is gold. I say so much silly shit around the house that Katie's on the other side of the house saying, what? And I'm like, never mind, wasn't worth it. Because it was really nothing. It was just something that I thought she might laugh at or something. Happens all the time. But back to you can't talk and listen at the same time. So if you're interrupting people, forget about it. If someone interrupts me while I'm talking, that's I just stop. I'm just done. I'm like, all right. It's because it's not worth it for me to raise my voice, to talk over them. It's more like I feel like and Katie's used to this because, I used to always tell her that she's interrupted. Now I just stop talking. I'm just like, I could be saying, yeah, we were on the podcast. Your name came up because we were talking. Oh, you did your podcast? I'll just stop. And I just like, wait, what were you going to say? Forget it. Sometimes I say forget it, or sometimes I'll go ahead and give it to her if she asks me, but she knows that's what I do. But people do that though. They feel like a need to respond. Not everything needs to be responded to. You can listen sometimes and not react to every little thing. Now, I am probably extreme in that way, especially compared to someone that's really dramatic. You might have a relationship where you and somebody, your friends, your sister, your spouse, whatever, where you get energy off of supporting each other with ridiculously dramatic expressions. For instance, someone could say, it took me like twice as long to get into work today because traffic was so slow. And they're waiting for a response. I could just be like, huh. And then if they're in a dramatic, people be like, I know, right? Like they make more out of what they think I said, but I don't know what you think I said. That wasn't a proper response to what I said. I know, right? Good. And that's a dramatic person that wants another dramatic person to be like, oh my God, twice as long? That sucks. And I tend to not be into that kind of talk. We talked a little bit about mingling last week because of the wedding. I'm not into mingling. I'm not into small talk a lot. And that's me. That's my lifestyle. I don't want to talk about me. If I'm, I don't know, sitting in a bar, let's just say, trying to think of somewhere where I would be maybe by myself. And say I'm having a drink, and there's someone that feels the need to start a small conversation, and they don't even know who I am, but it's meaningless, just like, so, hey, where are you from? Oh my God. Like usually for me, I just want to like check out. I'm like, I don't want to talk about me. He's asking me about me. Like, boundaries, dude. I'm not here for that. I don't want to lap dance. I just want to drink and look at the titties. So people do that, and there is a purpose for it, and there's mingling conventions. Some people, that's their whole life, is mingling and small talk. For me, it's something that I don't normally have to do a lot. I don't choose to engage on it. I look at, like right now, I'm talking because I feel obligated. Anyone tuning in is doing so to get my perspective and to hear me articulate my thoughts and say what I'm saying here. But normally, I'm very much not a talkative person, and I don't react much in terms of responses to people talking. As Katie put it, she said I give a lot of like 1 word or 2 word answers that doesn't invite a lot of future conversation. If somebody is trying to open up and start talking to me, but they're looking for something that they can have with me, that they just, what can I talk to them about? And they could be like, I like your shoes, and then they think they're gonna have a conversation. I might just be like, thanks. I'm extreme in that way, and not rude. I don't think, people that get I don't people say I give a positive vibes, but I don't get a lot out of that. Listening is something that, like, if people are talking and it doesn't, is there a response? Then a lot of times won't respond, because they could just say, they could be like, oh my God, like I've come to this place probably I've come to this place like every week since I've lived here, for like 6 months, and I've never noticed that before. Oh yeah? What do you want me to say? And a lot of people, if you're thinking, wow, Rob, you must be fun at parties, you're right. I think that I would be very boring to somebody that is so dramatic that they feel like they got to talk about themselves, which, first off, they have to explain what's interesting about themselves. I don't have to do that. You know what I mean? But that is part of what people do small talk. Think about it. Like if someone says, oh no, I can't do that. Like if I hit the snooze button, then I'm going back to sleep. Okay, you must think that's really interesting about yourself to tell us that, if you really want to break it down. And there'll be certain things about people that they commonly use. You hear this person say this thing about themselves very often. It's their go-to move. It's their high spot. And the thing is, they think that that's a really interesting fact about themselves, And when you break it down like that, it sounds kind of desperate and pathetic to feel the need to fill the gap with that. Okay, there's this book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. A lot of people are familiar with it. It's on relationships. I read part of it. I don't think I read the whole thing. I don't know, but it was a long, long time ago. But I remember when they were promoting it on all the talk shows and stuff. One of the things that I learned was it said that women sometimes just want to be heard. They're not looking for men to solve every one of their problems. And they were so spot on. Like, that's been so useful since then that I remember it now to even mention to you. But sometimes people, you want to say someone just wants to tell you like how their day was, you know, hey, how was your day today? And they want to say, oh my God, you know, it was like raining. I thought I was going to get fired this morning. This person was really rude to me. Boom, boom, boom. They just sometimes, and it's not just women and men, the way, you know, don't make this into a sexist thing, but there are patterns, you know, that are relatable. But either way, sometimes people just want to vent. They just want to be heard, and they don't want you to try to fix everything. And men and some other people sometimes aren't good at that. They hear it, they're like, well, maybe you can do this. Did you try doing this? You know, and they're like, they don't even want it. And then it adds to the confrontational vibe because now they're pushing back on what you're saying, and no one even notices unless you're a psychologist and you're studying this. So anyway, we could all be better listeners. If you're talking while you're listening, then you're not listening. And if you're interrupting, then that's rude. A lot of people interrupt to make it about them. And a lot of people follow up to make it about them because they feel obligated to. That's what they think they got to do, is make it all about them. Example, I almost missed my flight today. Holy shit. By the time I got through security, I only had 11 minutes till they said they were going to close the doors. And then someone else will chime like right in and be like, oh my God, one time I was traveling and I had my 2 ugly kids with me and they had popsicle melted all over their faces. So they were like really messy. And people do that. If you observe it enough and you notice, a lot of people think they have to follow up everything with making it about them. Me being the bright light that I am, I tend to consciously not do that because people can't relate to a lot of my experiences. You know what I mean? Like, hey, have you ever been like a TSA where the fans are like literally, like in Africa, they were literally like coming over the gate so much that security pushed us through and didn't even look at any of our IDs or anything and held the crowd back? You can relate to that, right?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
you can't relate to that, right? So I tend to feel like people that do that, people that do that want to be the center of attention, and it's an energy manipulating kind of thing. Also, if you're waiting to respond, then you're not listening either, really. Not as well. If you're just waiting, I'm waiting till you stop talking for a break so that I can respond with what I want to say, and that's on my mind. Well, that kind of gets in the way of listening too. You know what I mean? Like you could just say, you know what, or I'm trying to guess what your question, what is really means behind that. You'll say like, what time did you say your flight was? Well, at 3:20. That's why I said I need to start packing. That's why I'm doing this right now, and that's why I'm trying to get these dishes washed and shit so I can get going and get out the door. Like, whoa, I didn't ask for all that. Listen to what I asked. I just asked what time your flight was. Didn't ask for all that shit. That's what listening is. Listening for me is picking up literally what somebody is saying. And that's the best way to respond without feeding in your own interpretation and translating it to mean something that maybe it doesn't, and then getting emotional about it. I tend to try to listen to literally what somebody is asking specifically, and that helps with communication. Whoa. So anyway, just be better at listening, and we all know what it's like to feel like someone isn't listening to us when they respond like in a different way. This is annoying to me. Sometimes people will be dramatic for me. I'll be saying something and I'm being serious. They think I'm joking. Like we're all standing around. I could say, we could always check and see if the manager's working. Where I was like, let's see if the manager's working. Like, I was being serious. Some people like jump off at the drama, and I'm like, that's not even what I meant from it, but I'm not even going to respond to that. So I don't want to make them feel stupid. And I also don't want to encourage it. But anyway, dude, I'm tired, and I don't even know if this one is gonna set in with anybody or not. But trust me, sometimes listening doesn't need responses, or they could just be passive responses like, I see, or wow, that's a huge, no, they could just be passive. You could just be like, wow, really? Wow. Oh, that's cool. Nice. They're not, people don't always want you to solve their problems and stuff. Less confrontation. Dude, let's wrap this up, and we'll try and be better listeners. I will sometimes, mostly I won't even talk to the person next to me on the airplane. And it's so weird. Where else in life are you actually going to sleep arm in arm with someone where your arm hairs are rubbing each other with a complete fucking stranger? But I won't even look at them a lot of times unless I have to go by them. Other ones, sometimes I'll be like, hey, so you going home or on vacation? And it's just like, oh, I don't want to know you. I'm going to sleep. Anyway, dude, let's all work on our listening skills, and we'll go with that till next week.
I think that's a good one, Rob. I got to listen a little bit better.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see, dude. But it's something definitely a lot of people, we all can work on.
Absolutely. Hopefully you guys were listening too. And thank you for listening this week. Give us a good review. Give us 5 stars on Apple iTunes or Spotify. Follow Rob at The Real RVD down there. I always point the wrong way. Follow me at Dominic D'Angelo. Go to RVD Pod for the clips, those clips and stuff like that YouTube Chris does. And then you can catch us early on the Premier Streaming Network every Friday at 4:20 p.m. Then we're everywhere every Monday at 4:20 p.m. So tune in there.
Fucking hey, man. Happy November, everybody.
Happy November. Let's get rolling. Turkey Days are coming. It's going to happen.
Sure. It sure is.
We'll see you this next week here on One of a Kind with RVD.
Awesome. Thanks, Dom.
Thanks,
Have
Rob.
a great week, dude.
I was waiting for some kind of sign, some kind of indication I was wasting my time. I got myself up out the basement. I faked it long enough to say I made it. I was patient